So I'd love to take some questions. Yeah.
Hey, Bob. Jim Young, Breathless National Right to Work Foundation. With that money from the unions, isn't that going to be, I mean, assuming McAuliffe gets the nomination, isn't that going to be an anvil around his neck in Virginia?
Great question.
Come general election?
I don't think it's an absolute millstone, but it depends on how it plays out. Because here's what's happening. McDonnell, Bowling, and I'm sure whoever the AG candidate is attempting to argue that this card check law, is eventually going to threaten Virginia's right to work laws. Secondly, they're going to point to the fact that the Democratic Party in Virginia is getting funded in some significant way by unions, and that it's not simply the free labor they may put in, through the phone banking and all of that. It's actual dollars. If you take a look, for example, at VPAC on the Bulova race, Harity brought in a lot of the kind of new business dollars, and Bulova was funded in part by real estate developers who fund both sides in Fairfax, but in part by unions as well. So that's going to be a demarcation line in the right to work law. But why I say I think that you have to be careful about that is that there is this kind of populist sense out there. So you have to make sure that an attack on unions is not perceived as an attack on working Virginians in some fashion, and that there's going to have to be a line drawn there, because you don't want to be simply the candidate of big business right now either. So that's the sense. Now, what McAuliffe, as I said, is trying to do very, very carefully and maybe somewhat skillfully as well, I think, is that he is, on one hand, saying he's a businessman, right? He's a person who knows how to bring jobs, he's built jobs, and there'll be an attack on that.
Knows how to get out of a company before it goes bankrupt.
Right, no, and there'll be the global crossing attacks and all of that, but he's going to have a lot of money to put that argument out there, that he's a businessman. But at the same time, he's distancing himself a little bit from certain businesses, right? He's not taking TARP money. For a business, if you took TARP money, I won't take money from you. I won't take money from from Dominion as a company. He may take it from certain executives there, but he wouldn't take it from Dominion as a company. So McAuliffe is straddling this interesting line between the business populism side, hoping that can be there. But certainly, as I said, I think McDonnell and the Republicans want to use the card check issue as a way of telling people who have a business-friendly perspective in Virginia that the Virginia Democrats aren't like the Democrats any longer. They look a lot like to say, and you may not like the results on that front. So I do think that this issue is going to become more prominent. I've been trying to write about it a little bit on Virginia Tomorrow. The Northern Virginia reporter for the Washington Post has been writing about it 2 or 3 times already. And so my sense is that you're going to see more of this because it really gets to the nature about whether the Virginia Democratic Party now, particularly as evidenced by leadership in Northern Virginia, is that looking a lot like the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, anywhere else in the country today? And the Democrats in Virginia have done pretty well by saying, Warner and Kane, we're not quite like them, right? Warner was just simply always brilliant at positioning himself between the Republicans and the Democrats. I don't know if you recall Warner's first press conference after getting the nomination. For governor in 2001, he held a unity press conference with McEachin and Kane in Southside Richmond. And the press conference, they all came out and they were unified. And the media came out and immediately started asking Kane about his position on the death penalty, and Warner and McEachin about his position on guns. And Warner strode out there and he said, "These are good men. They should be elected. I'm happy to run with them, but I don't agree with them." And so the unity, and I thought at first, when I read that at first, I said, "Oh, these are the Democrats again, a gang that couldn't shoot straight." And then I woke up the next morning and said, "Bob, you idiot." I said, "This was all orchestrated." It was orchestrated by Mark Warner. because he wanted to use the conference as a way of positioning himself between his own running mates and the Republican Party. And he's done that very skillfully. I think it's going to be more and more difficult for the Virginia Democrats to do that, because they do look more and more like the National Democratic Party.